Hi kids, so now we're going to look at a object lesson on kindness. We're going to talk about small, tiny acts of kindness, and we're going to talk about huge acts of kindness and the effect that they can have on the world. And I know sometimes it may not feel like a small act of kindness is all that important or that it has that big of an effect. Sometimes it's tough to do a huge or monumental act of kindness, especially now, when a lot of us are stuck in our homes for the most part. So there's some questions here about acts of kindness. Is it really that important to be kind and show acts of kindness? What if I can't do something that seems all that significant or important? Are little acts of kindness really that effective? Does a bunch of small acts of kindness equal one big act of kindness? And so I want to take a look at this by utilizing some of these objects right here. So I have a large bowl of water, and I have some small water beads. They're like little rubber balls. And then I have some fishies, which I thought would be appropriate for this. And then I have a large rubber ball. And so I want you to think of this like the bowl of water is the world. Okay, and the water that's in it, right, that kind of represents all of the people that are living in the world. And these small beads right here, they represent small acts of kindness. Just little, what could be seen as insignificant acts of kindness. And then I have here what could be seen as or looked at as a medium act of kindness. That's the fishies. They're a little bit larger. They weigh more. And then I have here the largest of the items, a rubber ball. And we're going to think of that as a large act of kindness. And so with some of those questions, what kind of effect will these acts of kindness have on the world? Is it going to make a big difference? Is it going to be significant? And so if you come a little bit closer now and you look at the water, I want to see what's going to happen if I just drop one of these small water beads into the water. Is it going to do anything? Is it going to affect the people and the world? Now you can see when I did that, it created some ripples. It created like a chain reaction, right? It sends ripples throughout all of the water. I like to think about kindness in that way, right? It has, in my mind, a big effect, even if it's just a small act of kindness. So what if I took something a little bit larger, like a fishy, and I dropped it? And you can see now I've created a splash and I've created a larger ripple throughout the water. And now, if I took this large rubber ball, what's going to happen? Oh! Now you can see there that had a big effect, right? That created a splash, a wave, a ripple, a chain reaction throughout all of the water. And so then we had that last question. Well, if I can't do a huge act of kindness, what if I just do a bunch of small acts of kindness? What's that going to do? So if I take a handful of the water beads, you can see maybe it wasn't quite as large as the ball, but it created this big effect as well. A lot of smaller ripples, and you can see that spread throughout the bowl of water as well. So I like looking at it this way. I know that, again, sometimes it's hard to do this huge act of kindness. But the reason I like to look at it this way, again, is it's a chain reaction of effects, right? And so the example that I always like to use is if I do a small act of kindness, like opening the door for someone, and if I just drop that in, what happens? It affects the person that I'm opening the door for. And then they see that act of kindness, and it makes them want to open the door for someone. It makes them want to do some kind of act of kindness. And so again, I like looking at it this way, because no matter what the size, small, medium, large, of the act of kindness, it does definitely have an effect. So what we can take away from this, one, is that there's no act of kindness that is too small. Two, even a small act of kindness or a bunch of small acts of kindness can really have a big effect on the world. Again, I use the example of holding the door open for someone. You could let your sister pick the next book that you guys are going to read. If we get larger and larger, you're talking about helping out a neighbor in your neighborhood, or helping someone bring in their groceries, or donating to a large charity, right? All of these acts of kindness have a really big effect on the world because they all create chain reactions, okay? So when you are kind to others, you are creating these ripple effects. And who knows how far that ripple that you have created will go.